we live in a world that really relegates pleasure to this is something you gotta earn, like it's a reward after you've like worked hard enough or suffered enough or la la la, insert blank here enough. And what I've experienced is that pleasure is essential. It is a nutrient like water, and without it, we will wither and die. Welcome to Honest Feedback, the podcast where deep truth meets bold transformation. I'm Goddess Brittney King, a pleasure priestess and a transformational retreat facilitator who helps women connect to their deepest truths, reclaim their pleasure, and awaken their inner power.
And I'm Lisset King, an emotional ninja and transformational coach who helps leaders release baggage, heal unresolved trauma, and step into their most aligned, purposeful lives.
We've created this podcast for spirit-led individuals just like you.
Seekers of truth, personal growth, and meaningful connection. Whether you're navigating life's big questions, craving more joy and fulfillment, or simply looking for honest, relatable conversations, you're in the right place.
Through personal stories, actionable advice, and transformative insights, our ultimate goal is to empower you to create a life that's overflowing with pleasure, purpose, and authenticity.
We know you're capable of incredible things, so let's make it happen together. Welcome back to a very special episode of Honest Feedback Podcast. Or do you remember to a very special episode of Blossom?
Yes. There was the episodes where they would talk about something special, serious.
Yeah, like sex or drugs.
Or drugs. Oh my God, I loved the Saved by the Bell with Jessie Spano where she was like addicted to speed.
Oh my God.
Remember? And it's like, she was singing that song. It's like, I'm so excited. I'm so scared. That's a real moment.
That's a classic moment, Jessie Spano. Oh, bless her.
Yeah, bless her.
Yeah. She taught me the dangers of exercise pills.
Well, we're going in a slightly different
direction.
But it is a very special episode because I had the honor and pleasure on being a part of my friend Sasa's Illuminate retreat, all about ascending to the 5D. What is the 5D? Like, what are these kind of codes? And she asked me specifically to talk about pleasure. So as many of you know, I believe that pleasure is a portal. Pleasure unlocks, pleasure heals, pleasure creates. And I believe that pleasure is a portal to our power. So we get into a really incredible conversation about pleasure, about power, about ascension. And I was like, this is what I want everybody to hear. Can I share it with everyone?
Oh, it was so good. The moment I finished watching it, the first time I was like, oh, everyone's got to see this. So thank you for making this available to our audience.
Yes. So tune in and we would love to know what you think.
Hi there, welcome to Illuminate, Lighting the Path to 5D Awakening. I'm your host for this event, Sasa, and I'm so excited to introduce you to our guest, Goddess Brittney King. Hi, Brittney.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me as a part of this incredible event.
Oh my God, I'm so stoked to have you. You are such a phenomenal human, and I can't wait for our conversation today. Let me introduce you to Goddess Brittney. She is a pleasure priestess, transformational coach, and somatic facilitator devoted to helping women reclaim their power, pleasure, and purpose. She weaves ritual, neuroscience, and ancient wisdom to guide her clients into deeper embodiment and soul-aligned living. As a creator of several transformational retreats and high-touch mentorship, Brittney helps women activate their desires and live with unapologetic joy. She believes pleasure is a sacred portal to liberation and brings warmth, humor, and depth to her work, making personal growth both profound and playful. She co-hosts Honest Feedback podcast with her wife, Lisset, offering unfiltered insights on personal evolution, relationships, and conscious leadership. Whether leading retreats, mentoring clients, or facilitating immersive experiences, Brittney invites women to step boldly into the lives they were meant to live. She resides in Portland, Oregon with Lisset and their adorable pups, building a life rooted in love, pleasure, and purpose. And our topic is something I adore talking about. Pleasure is the portal to your power. So my first question to you is, tell me why you focus on pleasure in your work with clients.
Yes, absolutely. I just want to say thank you for the beautiful introduction. That was wonderful. Like, yes, I do those things. Yeah, and pleasure is a portal to your power and why I focus on pleasure. So, like you shared, I'm a pleasure priestess and I have learned from pleasure as pleasure being my teacher. And that wasn't always my experience. For a lot of life, I felt really disconnected from my body. I was a people pleaser. I like to say I used to exist from like here up, just from the eyebrows up, because that's where it felt safe, being smart, logical, all of these different things. And I had myriad experiences throughout my childhood that led me to believe that it was unsafe to be in my body, that my pleasure was dangerous, that it would attract predators, and the list goes on and on. And so I was operating from that space for most of my life, feeling disconnected, doing what everybody else thought I should do, feeling I was battling anxiety and depression and disordered eating and just so much suffering, like literally point blank suffering. And it wasn't until I had quite the energetic shaking from the universe with a series of events that really opened me up to like, this is my life. This is my one precious life. Like, I get the opportunity to choose what I want my life to be. And I decided I want to choose joy. Joy is what I wish to follow. Joy is what I wish to embody, to be. And the way I found that journey to joy was by following my pleasure. And pleasure has stripped me bare of everything that I wasn't and allowed me to lovingly and compassionately explore and discover all that I am. And so I feel so honored to be able to shepherd and steward and hold the space for others to find this access point as well.
Wow. Yes, it is so delicious. And I think when we step into that reality of life being pleasurable, we get so much feedback from the universe that is it's like it's expanding upon that, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's so expansive, and it's, what you seek is seeking you, and where your attention goes, energy flows. And like, I know some of these things sound cliche, but they're cliche because they're true. They're
Yeah.
true. They're true. And pleasure, in my experience, it's something that is so primal. It's in our lizard brain, it's in the amygdala, it's very primal. And if we did not have it, we would have evolved past it. If it wasn't necessary in order for us to survive, we would have evolved past it. And now we live in a world that really relegates pleasure to either it's like it's only in the bedroom, or this is something you got to earn, like it's a reward after you've like worked hard enough or suffered enough or insert blank here enough. And what I've experienced is that pleasure is essential. It is a nutrient like water, and without it, we will wither and die. And when you allow yourself, like if anyone's ever been dehydrated, and maybe you didn't even notice, you were running around, you had a slight headache, you're busy, blah, blah, but then someone gives you water, and it's just like, oh, it like quenches your thirst, and you just feel it, and you're just like, oh my gosh. And you realize, oh my gosh, I've been so thirsty, I can chug this entire bottle. It opens that portal of expansion. It opens that portal of possibility. It opens that portal.
That's perfect. Yes. I feel like when we step forward into that portal, it's like the universe wants to deliver everything we expect. And that is when we expect pleasure, we get more of it that way, you know?
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Well, you talk about power. So what is the connection between pleasure and power?
Yeah. So specifically, a lot of my work centers on the divine feminine. And a lot of these concepts, we both hold masculine and feminine in part. So this is for everyone. And I'm going to use some female-centric language. So when we tap into our pleasure, it allows us to tap into a space of limitless possibilities, a space of infinite creation. If you look at the female form, we literally are a portal for bringing life through from the beyond into this frequency, into this dimension. Our wombs literally have the codes, have the vortex, have the toroidal field of that limitlessness, of that transformation energy. And so a lot of times we have been experiencing where it's like, oh, you got to tone down your sexuality. You got to tone down your muchness. You got to turn down your joie de vivre, of your life force for energy of women. And a lot of it rests in our sexual energy, that energy of infinite creation. It is a creation energy. And when you remember that you have the power to create, that is everything. That is everything. Nothing can stop you when you remember, I have the power to create. Please forgive me. So excited of just, bursting. But when we tap into that energy of creation, that is our power. That is our power. And so sometimes we think of sex as, or have been taught that sex is only for procreation, or sex is a gift for your partner, or sex only belongs in this area. And what I have learned is when we tap into that energy of creation, that energy of sexuality, it is not just about giving birth to new humans. That is a fantastic little win. Great souvenir from the gift shop. And we can create anything. And when you know that you can create anything, that is power. That is a power that is unshakable. That is a power that climbs a mountain. That is a power that changes the world. And so when I look at our world and I think about like even how I was raised, I grew up in like the 90s, and there was just so many messages for women about make yourself smaller, as small as possible. Don't take up any space. We have to fight each other because there can only be one. All of these different narratives that really were separating us from our power, telling us, hey, it's not okay to be in your sexuality. It's not okay to be in your sensuality. It's not okay for this to be out for the world, unless it's for the consumption of XYZ people, then it's okay, but it's not okay for you. And so I have just felt this deep calling in my soul for all of us to reclaim what is ours, because pleasure is our birthright, and to reclaim our power and understanding, oh my gosh, when I am tapped into that frequency, into that I call it sacral chakra energy. It holds sexuality, creativity. It's no accident. These things are together because it is just the energy of creation. When we remember we create, we remember where our power is.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's absolutely the case. I get so like exhausted by I feel like, it's like the world is entitled to our energy. It's like a sense of like, and we can get to that place where we own our energy fully from that sacral space, especially, and also, and I think, our knowing too, like being able to own our knowing, but that sense of like aligning with what feels good is such a revolutionary idea.
Yes. And it feels so simple. Like if you told a small child, they're all just doing what feels good. They're like, I want to lick this ice cream. This seems good. I want to lay in these leaves. That feels good. Oh, it's a puddle. Let's splash. I liked it. This was exciting. I'm going to splash some more. They are constantly living in that vibration of this feels good. This feels good. This feels good. And following that. I mean, it's in our nature to seek pleasure and avoid pain. But somewhere along the way, we get the messages, we get the training, we get the conditioning of no, we should actually do it the opposite way. And it's really the opposite of Mother Nature. She is, to me, my OG teacher of like, how can I understand how this universe works? How can I understand how this dimension works? And this frequency, she is always finding the way that brings her the most pleasure. I mean, when I even think about sex, like if bringing new life into this world was arduous and difficult and not fun and and like all of these other things, like we just wouldn't do it. But Mother Nature was like, why don't we make it very fun? Why don't we make it almost addictively fun, hedonistically fun? Like, let's get into it. Like that is, and it's like, wow, that's how we tap into our ultimate creativity, by having the most fun that you think you can possibly have. And then let's add some more.
Amen. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, you got it. I want to say you're preaching from the pulpit. It's so amazing because I couldn't agree more with you. I get into this all the time. I feel like what Mama Earth wants is for us to have joy and pleasure. That is like one of the, in my work, when I channel from Gaia, like one of the five
Mhm.
tenets of Earth, her Earth, is one of them is pleasure,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
So,
Yes. And I so appreciate the acknowledgement and the recognition, and like for those who are in the conversation and like they're like, yes, I feel it. And there was a time before where like this couldn't have been further from where my mind and how I showed up was. Like I
Mhm.
was working corporate jobs with like uniforms and name tags and harsh fluorescent lighting, and
Mhm.
I was constantly seeking from others permission to be myself. Am I allowed to take up space? Am I allowed to talk? Am I allowed to be in this space? Am I allowed to do this? And am I allowed to do that? And it was so dysregulating, but it was also all that I knew. And I wasn't
Mhm.
seeing outside of myself examples of other women who were owning their power, owning their pleasure, owning their joy in this way that I didn't see for male consumption. That I felt like the only place I saw it was in the space where yes, you can have it if it's for the service of the male gaze. And it felt really, just confusing and
Mhm.
stifling. And I just found myself in a cycle of like numbing, and it was like food and drinks and all the different things. And so if you're listening to this conversation, you're like, this sounds exciting, but I just don't know if I'm where they are. Just know this is here for you too, because it was if I can just go a little bit into my awakening process,
Yes, please.
it was, I will give a trigger warning because that is part of it, but I experienced a big T trauma, a sexual assault that really shook me. And it was in that experience, I remember floating outside of my body because our unconscious mind, our body, we're always trying to keep ourselves safe. And so if your unconscious mind is like, hey, this is too traumatic, we're just gonna pop you outside. And I just remember floating outside my body being like, well, this is not good. And I remember feeling moisture on my face. And I was like, why is it wet? And I remember just having this like really like, I'm like, why is there water on my face? What is happening? How could it be raining inside? And then I realized, oh, I'm crying. I'm
Mhm.
crying, and my body is trying to tell me something is wrong and get me back online and get me into a space where I can get out of this situation. And so in that situation, I felt this presence with me that was just like, you can continue to live your life the way you are. And these are the kinds of situations you're finding yourselves in. And it's leading towards a path that may not result with you still being here. Or you can
Mhm.
choose to live. What do you choose?
Mhm.
Within a month, my mom got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and it was a rare form of lung cancer. And in that experience, and I remember it was just so sudden. She looked completely healthy, and
Mhm.
I had never had any psychedelic really experiences, but here I was, sober as a judge, sitting next to my mom, and her lungs started to talk to me. And
Mhm.
they were like, you have to choose life. You have to choose joy. What do you choose? And those two events so close to each other with the exact same message of it is your choice. It is your choice. You get to choose. What do you choose? How do you want to be supported with that? And I started making changes in my life. I started choosing joy. I found spaces and places and people where I felt safe enough to explore what is my joy? What is my pleasure? What does it feel like to touch myself just for my own pleasure, not for someone else? What does it feel like to choose what kind of spaces I want to spend my time in? And it
Mhm.
allowed me to have this huge metamorphosis and spiritual awakening, and all these gifts started to show up when I decided pleasure is part of my path, and I
Mhm.
get to choose this, and I'm going to choose to follow my pleasure and see where it takes me. And I was so surprised and delighted and tickled and all the things where it's just like, oh, by the way, did you know you're queer? Like, let's just stop sleeping with men right now. Like, oh, by the way, did you know that you're witchy and you have all these intuitive gifts? Like, all of these huge things that are very true and central to who I am and what I do and all these things all came from me choosing to listen to my pleasure and choosing to follow where the wind blew as far as what lit me up and what turned me on.
Wow, what a story. And I just have to always say when people go through stuff like that, my heart goes out to you. That is such a terrible experience to have. So thank you for being willing to be vulnerable and share that with everyone. And I can't express how like that revelation that you had is so profound, and um, it's lovely that you had that spirit kind of coming in and lifting you into a new place from such a dark place.
Mm.
And you are such you meet life with such power already. So I'm sure that you were just expanding into like even more of you in such it's interesting how guided you were. I love how you were so in touch with yourself through that whole thing. That whole, you let it light you up. And I want to honor you for that because it's just a beautiful share. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the reference and the space to share. And, I share because it can be easy to see other people who seem further on the path. And it's like, well, maybe they were born like this. Maybe they've always had this. Maybe they always trusted themselves or trusted their guides and all these different things. And I feel like, I learned from a Hawaiian school of ancient teachings, shamanism, I guess you would call it, energy work. But they have this saying, and it's about a hula platform, and it's like we're all on the same papa. We're all on the same level. We're all in the same place. We're all having these different experiences, but like we're all here together. And so I share to remind us all that like, hey, we're all here together. Whatever your experience, whatever your path is, wherever you are on your path is perfect for you in this moment. And like, to even see like we're all so supported. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know I had guides. Like I didn't know. All of a sudden it was just like I felt it and it showed up, And so just to let others of us know like, hey, what all the goodness is here for all of us. There's an infinite amount of goodness here for all of us. And no matter whatever you've been through, whatever has been the trial, the tribulation, the activation, the opening for you, like it's all been happening for you, and there's always more goodness on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just, like you say, there's an infinite amount of goodness available to us, and we just have to own it and share it too. That's
Yes.
part of the journey is actually sharing. Um,
Mhm.
well, tell me a bit about how you see pleasure expanding one's consciousness. I know that we've talked about this, but I think that there's a profound amount available to us when we step on this road, as you've demonstrated in your story.
Yes. Oh, pleasure expanding our consciousness. For me, it's like being in a space of infinite possibilities. And pleasure is one of those frequencies that allows us to journey past the limits of what we thought was possible, what we thought we were capable of. I remember having experiences in sex that were like, these are fine. It's fine. It's regular, it's fine. And then having experiences that were dripping in ecstasy, where it was just like, I felt myself and I felt my consciousness expand to receive. I felt myself let go of things that were keeping me small in order to experience even more pleasure. And it feels like one of those things, like if you drop a stone into a still lake and you see the ripple effects and it just keeps going on and on and on. I feel like pleasure does that to our consciousness. You had the drop in and it just continues to let the ripple to expand, and it pushes you. And it's one of those spaces where when you allow yourself to really just luxuriate, suck the marrow out of every ounce of pleasure available to you. You find, oh my gosh, there's a little nook and cranny here. Oh, and I want to linger here. Oh, and this is possible there. And so like our consciousness, it goes on forever. And to be in spaces where you can be in that vibration of, oh, this can go on forever. It rewires our brain. It creates new neural pathways. It allows us to go, well, if this is possible, what else is possible? If I'm experiencing this here, what else could be true? And I do sex as a very primal example that I feel like a lot of people can relate to, but I've experienced this with money. It's like, oh, when I'm in pleasure with money and abundance, oh, like the fruit that shows up at my house, the gardens I get to experience it, like the things that happen in my life. And I'm just like, wow, if this is where pleasure is leading me, and it just keeps getting better and better and better. And pleasure has been an expander for me in a way where it has surprised and delighted me from the universe, where the universe is like, let me show you how good this can get. I know you said you wanted this. How about I upgrade you to that? How does that feel? And so when I think about that expandingness and consciousness, it's that same thing. The universe will be like, hey, have you thought about this in this way? Let's go over there. What about that way? Yeah. What if we break the sound barrier? What if we're not the only people in this galaxy? What if we're all one? What if you remembered that we're all one? What if you remembered you could see energy? What if you remembered you are in control of your own reality? What if you remembered this is all an illusion and designed for you to have the most fun with? So why don't you play? You see,
yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, that is exactly right. I think that when we are in that play place, which is another tenet of Earth that Gaia is channeled. So I channel it from Gaia. When we're in that play zone and we're treating life like a playground, it's gonna create it'll help us manifest more enjoyment all the time, and we have to kind of invite that in and lean into it and gracefully, if my guys are saying gracefully accept you get to have fun. You kind of resist that sometimes.
You get to have fun, and it's like, oh, if everything's a game, sometimes, we're all adults and it's all so serious, I'm healing, it's serious, it's like, yeah. Or what if we blow some bubbles? I've had just as many powerful healings through something that quote unquote was hard as I had through a laughing fit. I sat in medicine, I had to sit with grandmother ayahuasca, and it was my very first sit, and I was experiencing my intention was to understand why I was special. And I was like, and I had been wrestling with something had showed up in my relationship. I was feeling jealous, all these things. And really the wound that was coming up was, why am I special? Why do I matter? And everyone is sitting on their little mats. The ceremony starts, people are starting to release. They're starting to purge through vomit. And my stuff is all kicked up, and I'm like, I'm not purging. Am I going to get my money's worth? Story. And I come back to my intention. I was like, wait, you wanted to know why you're special. And I'm like, everybody else is doing something. I was like, how do you choose to release? And sitting up for 8 hours, I just had spontaneous orgasms and laughter fits for hours. And for hours in a master plant ceremony. Other people are over a bucket and I am rolling on a sheepskin floor, no hands in my underwear, just literally feeling the ecstasy of the waves come through me. And I let go of so much trauma and so much sadness and so much fear. I let go of really dense, heavy things through pleasure, through fun, through laughing, through being in the beauty. I got to witness my own soul being born. It was so profound. And so it was just like, what if it doesn't have to be hard? What if pleasure is your birthright and you get to have as much fun as possible. I am a firm believer. The more fun I'm having, the more money I'm making, the more life I'm doing. Like, it's just, we get to choose that. It's just, do you want to play? Like, the universe is like, we're here. Jump in anytime. Water's great.
Oh my
Jump
gosh.
in.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I would normally ask you for a closing statement, but I want to say that was the perfect closing right there. The water's great, jump in. And that's what I would hope for everybody who's watching, that they start to really embrace this beautiful kind of gorgeous fascination with life and just this beautiful unfolding into your domain of pleasure and play. So thank you so much.
Thank you. This has just been such a titillating conversation. Like, my whole body feels alive and I feel so passionate about it. Thank you for one, just being an amazing friend and creating such a beautiful container for us to have these kinds of conversations because, it's really important. It's really important. I feel the earth, I feel the vibration, and I feel so many of our souls just wanting to be like, are we sure it's okay? And the more of us that we see, the more permission that we give to each other, that we remind ourselves it lives within us, the more we're just out there playing.
Yes, so true. And I know that you have opened a portal for everyone to step into that from here. So thank you for your power.
Thank you.
So you have a free gift you're offering. Can you share about that?
Yes, I do. Well, one, I love gifts, and who doesn't? So, to keep the vibes going, I have created a pleasure awakening ritual, and it is about a 10-minute guided meditation for you to tune into pleasure, because pleasure is happening in all moments. It's always available. We just get an opportunity to open ourselves to that frequency. So you'll have me guiding you. We'll put the link in however this is going.
It'll go below the video.
We'll put the link in there. And it's free for you to download and you can experience it. And yeah, I would just love, love, love to gift it to you. I had a lot of fun creating it. It's very somatic and it's something you can really do anywhere.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's gorgeous. Please take advantage of that. You will have such an up level, I imagine, from being involved, taking this in, because I know that you are such a powerful facilitator. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
That was such an incredible conversation. Babe, you knocked it out the park.
Oh, I just felt so lit up. I mean, even just re-listening to it, like, it feels like every cell in my body is alive.
Yes.
And I'm just so tapped. It was such an expansive experience. So thank you so much, Sasa, for having me be a part of it. And you guys should definitely check out her and her work because she is incredible.
And a word from our sponsor, which is me. I'm hosting a Huna workshop this weekend. There's only a few spots left. Would love, love, love to have you. Check out the link below. We're going to be doing release work, major release work. Anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, any limiting belief that's been holding you back. We get to, send it back to the light. And the initiation on Sunday is otherworldly. I'm so excited for the participants this weekend.
Me too. It's just such an honor to hold and facilitate this space. And like the fact that we get to do this, the fact that you guys get to come, it is an incredible, incredible experience. And everybody who has come has been like, my life is better. I'm telling friends, which is why literally I think there's only one spot left. So if it is yours, get it.
Yeah. Come on through. And if you have a question, be sure to give us a call at 971-895-4111. Make sure you hit that like button, share, subscribe. And until we meet again, be honest with each other.
Bye.